Hey, welcome to Functional Conditioning Yoga with me, Ricky Stewart. I'm still drinking my espresso. You can bear with me for a couple of seconds while I have a little bit of caffeine. Ready for this. Gyms are back open very soon, 2nd of December. It's happening, which I'm very excited about. But this is going to keep going. We're still on with Functional Conditioning Yoga, which is cool. So, you've seen the title there that I've put. Strong spine work and a strong core. They're the same thing, essentially, because these muscles around here control how your spine moves. And what I like to think about is, with our spine, that you should be able to get from any shape to another shape that's more beneficial for the task at hand. Sometimes the task is a low-level task, like being able to type for 8 hours a day or work on an Excel spreadsheet for 8 hours a day. Sometimes it's that's low level. There's not much load, but you should be able to get yourself into shapes in your spine that one little bit doesn't take the insult of that work day and hurt it. But that comes down to you having a good map of movement that you can shuffle around and fidget and show your body different shapes throughout that 8 hours where you crack on and you get your work done, but you don't finish it injured. You don't finish it sore or all seized up. You've got places to go and things to do with these muscles and this part of your skeleton. Another way of thinking about this is that you do strong stuff, like high level, high impact or heavy load stuff, like doing deadlifts or playing basketball, just for an example. It could be any sport, but you do a deadlift, you need to be able to make these muscles keep your spine so stable that when you pick that bar up, this doesn't shift. You use your hips, your legs, and they push against this stable base. It's important. Even if you don't deadlift, even if you just do an aerobic style class, you still need to be able to make this stable so that when you push into a squat, into a lunge, that your spine isn't just like soaking up all of that push. But then also, this is going to be a long rant, I'm sorry. Also, when you play basketball, you need to be able to change direction, lots of sideways movements, lots of like soaking up that side step where your spine rotates around and you've got to be able to bounce the ball at the same time and be able to push load down into the floor and change direction and be able to spring into this rotational element. All of those things are equally as important. And I think in the fitness world, in the fitness industry, we get a little bit laser focused on one thing for one type of person. Bodybuilders, they get laser focused on their nutrition and making their muscles bigger. That's it. And they tend to, for the most part, apart from some special cases, they ignore mobility, they ignore strength training kind of a little bit sometimes, and they just get focused on that. And then you get people in the weight loss category that get laser focused on burning calories. So they'll just do burpees and they'll do aerobics and they'll do spinning classes and they'll do stuff that makes the heart beat really fast so that they burn calories because that's the laser focus. And I'm not into that. I like a lot of stuff. We need a repertoire. We need to have more. And even within this yoga class, we're not just trying to get more flexible. Some yoga people get laser focused on finding more range, being able to fold in half and get these poses to look how they do from yoga masters, from the books, from people who are essentially contortionists. And none of those goals are bad. In fact, all of those goals are relevant and equally as rewarding, as important as the last. I'm not into this laser focus, one thing, like tunnel vision towards this one goal. Because if we're going to talk about our health and longevity as a human being, I think we should all focus a little bit on our strength, like getting stronger, getting more resilient, a little bit on our mobility and control over our mobility more than flexible range. But if you struggle to get your socks on, or to be able to tie your shoelaces, or to be able to jump off a high wall and land, then maybe your mobility could improve. So maybe you do need more flexibility. So we train that. And then maybe your endurance to be able to work at a desk for 8 hours. I think we all kind of need that. We've all got a day where maybe you don't even do a desk job, but you sit on the sofa and watch Netflix for 4 or 5 hours at a time. You should be able to do that and come out the other side happy. That's what this is for. Hopefully I can hit as many of those little things as I can, even the strength, the mobility, the longevity, the whole thing. The only thing I'm not doing is getting your heart rate up high. Not that high. That's the only thing that we're going to miss out on here. But you've got time for that. You can do hard walking, running, cycling, whatever your cardio is. We'll work it out. It's all going to go through this lens of having a strong spine and a stable and movable core. All right. I'm only 3 minutes over. It's fine. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay. So cross-legged is cool for me. If cross-legged is cool for you, just fidget for me. Before we settle into any breathing, just explore how to sit. Explore how to sit up tall. Relax your wrists onto your knees. In fact, no, let's do a bit of Jnana Mudra. So if you get your thumb against your finger and open your palm up to the sky, see if you can make your shoulders just kind of hang. You can shuffle still, you can still fidget. Do a little press into your thumb with your finger. And then just scan your body and work out what you've got going on. Feel what's clinging on, what's holding you up. I feel like I've neglected my mobility training over the last few days. I think lockdown kind of got to me a bit. And this feels a little bit like I've got to cling on a bit more than usual. I've got to really, I can feel my hip flexors just keeping me up. Maybe you feel something similar. Maybe you feel kind of comfy, but it's this self-assessment that I really like. Remember, the way that we breathe, the way we use our diaphragm is integral to how we use our spine. Push your belly out as you breathe in and inflate. Draw in as you breathe out. And squeeze ribcage down towards the side of your hips. One side, then the other. One side, then the other. Remember, it's internal training here. I'm not after this external cue of doing a side bend. I'm after you feeling what your spine does when you do a side bend. What muscles you use to make this happen. Working out where you send your attention to make this shape, whatever it is. And cross your arms over your chest and rotate. See if you can do long breaths that are offbeat to your movement. So if you're breathing like this, go and breathe in. See how I'm getting a few rotations each breath. Because I want to catch each shape, so each rotation with a different part of that breath. Maybe even hold. Let's see if we can hold one rotation now. Breathe. And then go the other way. That's it. And then before we go into cat-cow, which is kind of always my next move after this, just see if you can cross your arms onto opposite knees and feel your shoulder blades spread, and then try and stretch out the back of your t-shirt by curling over. So imagine like your t-shirt stretches behind you. Breathe here. Shoulders down away from ears. Work out how to breathe while you're curled over and crunched up. And then coming out. And then do the opposite. Bring your hands behind you and try and stretch the front of your t-shirt. So you go rib cage up, squeeze shoulder blades together, and breathe. Keep breathing, keep trying to find more extension. That's it. There we go. And then coming up onto all fours, and we'll get into this cat-cow. So, if you start in cat pose, make sure your knees are right underneath your hips. So knees are hip width apart. Push your chest up, tuck your chin, rib cage up. Try and stretch out the back of your t-shirt. And then, see if you can segment your spine one vertebra at a time. Starting from lumbar spine, into thoracic, into neck, into more neck, into neck. And then let's go from neck again. Go neck, thoracic, lumbar, then coccyx tucks under. And this, doing cat-cow so specifically, I think is our biggest bang for our buck for what we do in this class. I've got the most benefit out of this. If I ever feel like I've got work to do at a computer and I have to sit for ages, I'm pretty good for it, actually. I can deal. I'm alright. When I stand back up, I'm okay. But as soon as I do this, I feel like I stand up again and I'm re-checked in everything that my spine does. And we need to keep this map going, because you know, use it or lose it in our body. If you don't show your body how to do stuff, it'll just forget. It'll make space for more things, something new. And it'll just not do whatever the last thing that you didn't do is. You'll just forget it. Let's go for one more. After doing this one, let's just have a little check-in with just an empty cat-cow. So you don't even really concentrate, you just see what moves and feel how that is a different thing. Completely different. Not wrong at all, because this is movement. Movement is movement, it's fine. The difference is that I'm not going to learn anything from doing this. I'm not going to teach my body how to control itself or anything. Okay, let's get into some more spine stuff then. So if you take your hand, put it behind your back, then going to push your chest away from the floor and drop this shoulder as low as you can, and then try and pick this shoulder up as high as you can. Drop it down, and pick it up. Drop it down, and pick it up. You can do this elbow down as well, like this if your wrists are really struggling. That becomes different, actually. I'm going to keep going with this one because I don't do this one as often. And this tires me out with my rotational muscles here. Let's go one more. Yes. Let's try the other side. I'll do a few upright like this, dropping this shoulder down and pick it up. Drop it down and pick it up. So this isn't only thoracic rotation, it's a rotation of the thoracic spine. There's also some shoulder blade action coming from here as well. And they're both relevant. Let's do some with elbow down. Oh, I find that much harder. So I had an online client last night who I see her once a week online on the Zoom, like video call classes where we do mobility work mostly, but a little bit of squatting and things like that. And every week she's like, my upper back was really good for 4 or 5 days, and then the last 2 days it's all kind of jammed back up again. It all feels very clicky in this part of my spine. And last night we did a lot of shoulder blade work and shoulder work plus this spine work, and that I think is what's winning for her. Now I can't say the same for anyone out there because I can't see you. I don't know what you've got going on and what you struggle with, but I think it's kind of relevant to know that if your shoulder blades work well, then your thoracic spine will probably join in as well. So let's work that out. We're still going to keep going with the spine stuff. So if you put one hand on your chest, other hand on top of that hand, and then just squeeze lightly with your elbows, just a little bit, do a little crunch, and hold this crunch here, and then rotate, dip, lean back and around, and land rotated, land crunched over, and then rotate the other way. I'm going to start this really easy. I want you to just see if you can find a mechanical end range, so that when you go, you're kind of finding corners to travel along, like you're going right up against wherever your spine can get to. We're not squeezing super hard, we're not trying really hard, we're just going to try and learn this movement where you stay kind of upright. So if you look at my belly button, it kind of stays roughly where it is. In fact, I could even put one finger on it as I hold this other elbow here, and I can feel that it's all above my belly button that's doing all of the movement here. If I did it like this, look, then my belly button's moving around, but it becomes too wild and I can't learn anything from that. I feel like I'm just clinging on to not fall over. I want this stuff here to find the things. Then let's try and do some hard reps. So I want you to push your hand into your chest. In fact, make a fist, push your fist into your chest, hold onto that fist and squeeze elbows in tight, and see if you can tense your belly, rotate, dip, lean back and around, and feel like this is a bungee rope pulling you into the crunch. Then go back out and it's a bungee rope letting you out into extension, around in extension, into this dip sideways, into a crunch across, and keep squeezing tight. Make this as strong as you can. In terms of core work, I think that this wins over anything, because this rotational element of using these muscles means that I can catch stability in any shape that I get into, compared to maybe just training plank. Plank's good, I train plank, I program it for people, but it's never just that, because I want you to be able to move. You've got to be able to move to your strong place to have a strong place. You can't just assume that you've got a strong place, like plank. You can't just assume that that's it. You go into plank and you can do it. You've got to learn how to get to these shapes here, using these end ranges and finding them. Okay, and then let's look at our shoulders. So you come up high on your knees now, tense your bum, show me your palms, and then bring them back. Squeeze shoulder blades together as you reach your arms up and reach back. So see how I'm trying to travel along the outside edges of where my shoulders could possibly move. Let's get the rotation right. Palms face each other and palms face away from each other. My knuckles are facing now. And then external rotation of the shoulders, internal rotation of the shoulders. Might be a bit clicky. Clicks are okay as long as they're not sore. It's got one more. So hard. And then, very quickly, let's get into this rotation stuff. So if you can look at your biceps, so this here, so you're going to turn bicep under, turn it out, turn it under, turn it out, turn it under, turn it out. And see, with your arms kind of out, like this, see if you can feel it, and keep your shoulders down as you do this. And then see if you can do it a little bit quicker. Just feel those biceps turn. So it's not your biceps turning. You're trying to feel your shoulders turn, but it's not a movement that you maybe do enough. Don't let this just be your wrists, look. So if you go like that, look. Shoulders aren't moving, it's just my wrists. Trying to make it, I can get this internal rotation and back to external rotation. Okay, and then let's do our hip cars a tiny bit differently. These are hard, but there's a lot of rules, so you need to pay attention to the rules. We go down into all fours, knees about hip width apart. Think about your pelvis being stable now. So if someone put a spirit level on your pelvis here, it's stay. So when you pick this leg up, it doesn't tilt. You're not going to drop that spirit level, or the bubble's not even going to shift. So you pick your knee up behind you, and then you bring it out to the side, keep that pelvis, try and bring it around past your elbow, past your belly, and back up, around, and see if you can find all the corners. Your knee should just brush past the carpet. As you come here, make this bum muscle turn on, make the abductors turn on, more abductors, hip flexors. Oh, it's so hard. Keep pushing your chest away, try and keep your lower back really stable. If you ever do an Instagram workout and there's some kind of donkey kick in it like this, if your lower back is doing this, look, and you're sharing the load too much for this donkey kick, you can tense your belly hard and make this glute do the thing. So it's this bum muscle, and then we bring it out to the side, around, and back. Okay, let's try that on the other side. Let's go knee up, make this bum muscle turn on, bring it out, swing it around, and back. Try and get this elbow to brush, your knee to brush past your elbow. Trying your best to keep your spine still, to keep your pelvis still, and try and travel on the outside edges of where this femur could possibly move. And one more. Yes. Oh, amazing. All right, let's get into some stretchy stuff. I'm still thinking about our spine. So if you come into 90-90, like this, I just want you to hang out here for a second. See if you can just pick up this back knee a few times and feel this muscle on the outside of your hip. Maybe even grab hold of your pelvis, grab hold of your lower back with this hand and feel like it's staying still. You should be able to feel like your abductors, these muscles on the outside of your hip, are connected. And then I want you to try and hold them on as these muscles here kind of pick you up. Try and get your spine as upright as you can, so you're not doing this kind of collapsed C shape like this. Trying to make yourself tall, and try and make your spine longer as you hinge forwards and down, forwards and down, forwards and down. I'm trying to drop my spine right down the middle of my shin. So if I drop my spine over the top of my thigh, that's not it. I can drop down here and I don't even feel any stretching. Bring my torso across. I start to feel this stretch on the outside of this hip. That is what we are after. So this is just passive stretch. We're looking for stretch here on the outside of this front hip. So, since we said we're going to talk about spine and the muscles in your belly, can you tense the muscles in your belly and still breathe kind of gently? Just a little bit of toning, a little bit of attention to these muscles, like you've got an electrical impulse to here, but it doesn't affect your breathing. If you tense really hard, then you're probably going to struggle to breathe. And see if you can drop a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and a little bit lower, and then hang out here. So this is our absolute end range. I can't actually get any further without curling my spine around, and that isn't it. Then start pushing your shin down, so it goes from ankle to knee, drives down through the floor. Use this other ankle behind you as well. Keep pushing down, breathe and push, breathe and push, breathe and push. Keep driving down, keep driving down. Holding, keep holding. 3, 2, 1. Then hands either side of your thigh. Then try and, so this is going to be maybe a bit different to how you've done this before. I want you to find your end range and then try and lift this shin. I'm not after air time. I'm not after this shin lifting. I'm after you being able to control from this closing angle that you can lift. Keep lifting, keep lifting. 3, 2, 1. Then swing this back leg around to the front. Hold this leg up. I'm going to do cradle the baby. So if you put your knee in your elbow pit and then your hand travels along your shin, and then put this foot in the other elbow pit if you can reach, you like this. I never used to be able to do this, so it always looked like this when I used to do this before when I first started yoga, and it's fine like this. But if you can, get this foot right into your elbow pit and then just sit up as tall as you can. And then we're going to see if we can let go and leave this leg where we've put it. So slowly, slowly, letting go. Maybe my hand goes behind me. I'm going to have to push this heel down on this front leg. I'm going to try and pull this heel towards my face. I feel hip flexors work. I'm going to push down with this other foot. So this right foot's pushing into the floor, my left foot's pulling towards my face. Going 3, 2, 1. Coming out. Okay. And then coming over to the other side. Okay. So, once again, just get yourself set. Sit up tall. See if you can make your spine as upright as you can. Let's have a little think about this abductor, this hip here. Lift this knee up a few times. See if you can feel this muscle on the outside of your hip. That's it. A few more. There we go. And then start hinging forwards. I'm going to get cramp. So if you do get cramp, like I am right now here, it's very annoying, but it's kind of a good thing. Not the cramp is a good thing, but the fact that you found a shape that consistently feels like it's on the edge of cramp, because that's somewhere where you can teach your body, come on, that it can do the thing. I've got to just get rid of that cramp first. So that's somewhere that's missing from my map. My body is just confused about that. My central nervous system is saying, I don't know if you should do that. And of course I should be able to have my leg going out that way. I should be able to. And I'll learn how to get it more by training it more. And then I can take load and create force in this shape. I'm then more resilient. I've got more of a repertoire. And that's actually fine now. I can feel like I can work out how to tense my belly a little bit as I hinge forwards and find this little stretch down the outside of this hip. That's it. I'm just going to live in this for a bit. Try and find end range. And then start making a little bit of force, a little bit of pushing. So this ankle, this knee drives through the floor really hard. Keeps pushing, keep pushing. And then hinge forwards a little bit more. Breathe. And keep pushing down. And lengthen the spine. Keep driving down. I'm going to get both ankles involved now. So both ankles are pushing through the floor. And then I'm going to drop myself as low as I can. I'm going to change direction. I'm going to try and pull this shin up into my chest. Keep pulling myself lower, using muscles in my belly, muscles in my hip flexors, trying to teach this hip this shape. So imagine like I've got this to be as flexible as it possibly can be, and then I'm going to use this closing angle stuff to be able to keep it. In 3, 2, 1, swing this back leg around to the front. Coming into cradle baby. So remember, you don't have to get your foot and your knee right into your elbow pit. You can just hold on to it with your hand. Try and sit up as tall as you can. And then slowly, slowly, start letting go. Try and own this. Sit up tall. Keep pulling this heel towards your face. And hip flexors, hip flexors. 3, 2, 1. And coming out. Okay. Let's look at some hamstring stuff. So, go this leg back. So I pull my right leg back. I want you to bend your knee a fair amount here and just try and pull the floor towards you with your heel, so your toes need to be pointed up. I want you to find this hamstring. You should be able to feel it with your hand. Sit up as tall as you can and keep pushing down with this heel. And then I want you to just kind of relax it and see if you can find a hamstring stretch if you lean forwards, and you might be able to get your rib cage up against the side of this thigh. If you can't find hamstring stretch, straighten your leg a little bit more and then try and find it. If you still can't find hamstring stretch, straighten it a little bit more and then try and find it. I'm after taking away this bent knee, this locked knee completely. So if you do end up with your calf on the floor and your hamstring just off lock to be able to find it, which is kind of my spot before this hamstring starts stretching, then that's cool. If you find it with a really bent knee, we can work there and improve that first. And I find that it actually trains the bicep femoris, the main deal of the hamstring, the big one, the main one, will get more input, more time under tension if you've got your knee a little bit more bent, as opposed to semitendinosis, this ones that run either side of your hamstring, those smaller muscles, maybe bite on a little bit more when your knee gets a little bit straighter. Okay, hanging out here. Lengthen your torso, breathe, then start driving your heel down hard. Try and pull the floor towards you a little bit and keep pushing down. Keep finding more end range, so maybe lengthen yourself a little bit more. Think about what shape your spine is in. Keep driving down, going 3, 2, 1, hands either side of your knee, and then try and lift your thigh up into your belly. So remember, if you're like this, it looks like this, and that's fine. Keep trying to lift, getting hip flexors going 3, 2, 1, and drop, and see if you can stretch again. Okay, swing that back leg around to the front and get this out of the way. We'll start, I just want you to start finding some tension here. So you push that heel down and try and pull the floor towards you. Get tension here, make this hamstring do work. Before we've even gone into a stretch, I want you to understand how to make this hamstring connect, how you can control it. So when you push your heel down and pull the floor towards you, it's like you're trying to do this, but your foot's kind of stuck to the floor, but it's also like you're trying to do this and lift your torso up with this heel. We get this whole hamstring to turn on. And then slowly let go of that and then hinge forward. And actually on this leg, I get a bit more of a stretch with a bent knee here. And it feels very different. It feels very like right in the middle of my hamstring. I actually feel it getting warmer just from being in this stretch here. Keep holding. Breathe and stretch. Shoulders down away from ears. Keep holding. Okay. Start making force now. Start pushing your heel down and try and pull the floor towards you. Keep pushing and pulling the floor towards you and finding this stretch. It's got to be your stretch, so maybe you've ended up with this leg closer to being straight, and that's cool, but you've got to work it out for yourself. It's not my stretch that you're after, it's yours. You've got to make it work for you with what you've got going on. Keep holding, going 3, 2, 1, hands either side of your thigh, and lift this foot. Try and lift, going 3, 2, 1, dropping down and coming up into all fours again, and let's just see if we can recheck in with lumbar spine and the muscles in your belly. So I want you to go into extension, but with your chest as high as you can. So it's lumbar extension. My belly button is as low as it can be. I'm trying to scrunch up all of this stuff at the lower part of my back, trying to point my coccyx up, and then I want you to tense your belly and really try and tuck tailbone under and back to extension, tuck tailbone under and back to extension. Just do these pelvic tilts and see if you can breathe and tense your belly as you make this work. It might help if you make more tension through the floor with your hands. Maybe even try pulling your hands towards each other, pushing your chest up. 3, 2, 1, and then coming round into seated, cross-legged. Just sitting up tall. Let your eyes close. Keep sitting up tall there. And just work out some breathing here. Keep slowing it down. Try and expand as you breathe in. Try and sit up a little bit taller. And bring palms together. Thumbs to forehead, tuck your chin, roll forwards. Namaste. And that is us. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you feel better for joining in a little bit of yoga. I enjoyed it. I kind of need it. Yeah, hi. That's so good. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will hopefully see you back in the gym if you're in Scarborough. See you soon. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Bye.